next guest is Frank Soule, the author of the 5B Method to a Successful Triathlon Swim. All right, I'm here with Frank Soule. He is the author of the 5B Method to a Successful Triathlon Swim. He is definitely the expert in his class of field. He's highly recommended by everyone I talk to. So I feel very privileged and honored to even have him sitting here with me talking, one about his book and about his philosophy, his everything. This is kind of an open forum interview, so we're just going to we're going to spitball it. Okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I guess my first question, this is kind of funny. So when I started your book, which by the way, I loved your book. And I really loved it because it was barely 100 pages long, but I got a lot of information out of it. It's amazing how just complete this book is, covering, I think, a very complex topic, swimming. You know, there aren't a lot of people that swim, believe it or not. And I think I told you I was in the Coast Guard for 7 years,
yeah.
And it's amazing how many people have to learn how to swim in the Coast Guard. It blows my mind. So the very first question or thought is the opening quote of your book. It was by Dr. Joe Dispenza,
yeah.
And I loved it, but it made me think. It wasn't a quote that just told me something. So anyway, I'm going to read the quote, and then we'll talk about that, and then really just dive right into your book.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So the quote by Dr. Dispenza is, "Same thoughts always lead to the same choices lead to the same behavior, and the same behaviors lead to the same experiences, and the same experiences produce the same emotions, and these emotions drive the very same thoughts." So it went in that nice loop. So why was that the opener to your book, and what does that mean to you?
The reason why it was the opener for my book is because, well, first of all, let me back up. I've been coaching now for 22 years, and I will always feel for an athlete when they come to me and they'll say to me, "Frank, 3 years in a row out of the water in an hour and 21 minutes. I'm frustrated. I just can't seem to get this swim thing. I'm never getting faster on the bike or on the run. I'm not losing that 10 pounds. All of those things." And I have to dive into it deep. I mean, really deep, and ask them that question going, well, why not? Why aren't you getting out of the water in a 105 if that's the goal, or 00 if that's the goal? And they answer that classic question with, I don't know, I guess I'm not that good. So that quote meant a lot to me because it really sang to my soul early on, Sam. Because I was at a point in my life where I just felt like I was on this plateau. I was moving up onto different plateaus, but I was on this plateau for a really long time. And until I stopped and evaluated what I was doing, what my beliefs were, what my thinking was all about, and what my identity was I identifying myself as a distance open water swimmer, a good open water swimmer? No, I wasn't. And here I am doing it and in the industry, and I was failing at the right mindset. So my mindset changed. My beliefs changed. My identity was never or very rarely rocked by my thoughts or my beliefs for the day. You have a bad day, all of a sudden I'm a great athlete. You see somebody say something about your book or say something about you, and all of a sudden going, well, I guess I'm not that great of an athlete. Your beliefs should not change your identity. So Dr. Joe Dispenza is somebody who I study and read all his stuff and his material. And that's why what I'm trying to do is get people who are reading this book to change their thought process. Okay? As I shared, I had an athlete just recently DNF'd at Ironman Arizona, could not finish the swim in time. And his thought was, I just suck at swimming. I'm never going to get good at this. I'm going to give up on Ironman. I'm going, well, that's crazy talk. That's foolish and that's stupid. We just have to figure out what you're not doing well. I talk about that in the book, and I will say to you this. There is a distinct difference between working hard and doing the necessary hard work. Working hard, I watch athletes do it all the time. In the gym, in the water, on the bike, on the run, lifting weights, work hard. But where they fail, many athletes fail, is doing the necessary hard work. I think one of my quotes in there is, my athletes will all tell you this. We do not work hard until we've done the necessary hard work.
Oh, I like that. Hamsters work hard and they don't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Ants work hard.
Yeah.
And it seems like, yes, they accomplish their goal, but as humans, we have free will. We have the ability to make decisions. Working hard work. Go to work all day, no disrespect to anybody who does whatever they do for a living, but if you're not satisfied there, maybe you need to come home, shut off Dancing with the Stars, buy a book, take an online course, go to school, screw happy hour, and do what you need to do to make your life better. So when I contribute that to swimming, I watch athletes going back and forth. They click their Garmin, back and forth, click their Garmin. But again, sharing with my athletes, they know when they get in the water, what is my goal for this session today? What do I want to get out of this session in my swim? Is it a speed session? Great. If it's a speed day, I should crawl out of the water. I should not be getting out of the water feeling great about myself. I should be having a full-blown conversation with God at that point, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh, right? If it's a distance day, I'm going distance. If it's a technique day or an endurance or a strength day, you got to know that going in, perform, the results will speak for itself. This is all about physics, my friend. Physics doesn't lie.
Yeah.
I go up on the top of this roof, I take a step off,
gravity.
It won't be pretty.
Some basic questions, because there's going to be a lot of people that are listening and watching this that as far as you said an hour 20, an hour 4 minutes, all this stuff. Let's real briefly how long is a swim for like a sprint, for example?
Well, a sprint could be anywhere from 400 meters to about 700 meters. That's the sprint distance, depending upon who's hosting. It could be a pool swim, an open water swim, but that's generally the 400 meters to 700 meter mark.
And then there's the Olympic one, right?
Yeah, and that's 0.9 mile. That would be a 0.9 mile swim, just a little under
almost a mile, right?
Almost a mile.
And then what's after that?
Well, after that would be the half Ironman, which is a 1.2 mile swim. Okay, then the full Ironman is 2.4 miles of swimming. Okay, so
doing 2.4 miles in the water at getting out an hour and 4 minutes later, that's hauling, right?
That is a very good swim. I would say you were up there with the elites at that point.
Okay.
In my description, personally, when I talk to athletes, you getting out of the water anywhere from under 110, you are with a really elite bunch of swimmers. Okay? Really, really efficient, proficient. They feel the water well. They've done the necessary hard work to get. What I like to say is they've done the necessary hard work to get out at 110.
Okay. Now, just kind of diving right into your book, The 5B Method to a Successful Triathlon Swim. I'm kind of answering my question with reading the title, but why did you feel really inspired to write this book? What was your inspiration and purpose for writing this?
I just see so many athletes out there struggling. They don't need to struggle at the swim. Many of them would tell me, and there's actual quotes in there from what I've gotten from athletes or overheard athletes say, all this time I put into the water and I DNF'd, and it doesn't have to happen that way. Again, I go back to the hard work scenario early on in their Ironman or sprint training. If they only did certain things in a certain way, laws of physics will align for you. I'm sorry, if you do things in a certain way. Every time I sit in a jet and that thing is running down a tarmac, I just have all the faith in the world that the laws of physics, the way they're applied against this jet, speed, air, lift, all the dimensions there, the plane's going to take off. It still in my mind makes no sense in how it happens, but it happens. Swimming is nothing more than the laws of physics. Apply physics properly to swimming. You, me, and everybody else can swim very, very well. And it's, just for what it's worth, at 63, I I still think I swim well, and I swim often. And I challenge myself with open water swims 1 or 2 every year just to see where I'm at in that process, right? And so I felt the need to write this book because I believe there's a ton of books out there, and they have incredible information, some incredible writers and coaches who shared. But I wanted to just break it down to what I thought were the 5 essential brass tacks that somebody can read this book on an afternoon and literally go to the pool in the very next session, start to apply it immediately. True story, had a guy in the water, he applied some of this stuff, took off 6 seconds per 100 his first time in the water. And I told him that's just the beginning. We can definitely do better than that. So it was just little things that start to materialize for us.
So let's talk about the first B.
Absolutely.
All right? So we're gonna, and before this interview, we were just talking about it, but it's, the power of belief. I mean, that's, in my opinion, I mean, if you believe you can, you will. If you believe you can't, you will.
Right.
It's like your belief really will be that's going to be the end result anyway. So what is that first chapter about?
Well, it's exactly that. It's belief. It is so many endurance athletes I've met over the years. And my first triathlon was back in 1987, 88 on the Jersey Shore. I'm a Jersey Shore guy, and, we started doing them. And so I've been around the sport and sports, and as a teacher, and as a parent, and, as a coach. I'm amazed at the language we use, and we don't even know how it affects us. True story. This was about 3 years ago. There was a young man who was getting ready to do 70.3 New Orleans, and basically word for word he said on Facebook, "My last long ride before New Orleans, half Ironman, I hope I'm ready." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you hope you're ready? Have you done the work? Then you should be saying it boldly, I am ready. The universe, God, the universe, doesn't take a joke. It doesn't know that you're kidding. Oh, I was just kidding. It gets locked in your subconscious. When we don't have a good race, see, I told you, I never had a good race at this course. We never play great in this particular NFL stadium. We never run well here. That's self-imposed. We say that, and that subconscious simply absorbs it like a sponge, and we start to believe what we say. And that's where, sat with hundreds of athletes over the years, and within 5 minutes, I can tell their mindset. Do they have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Within 5 minutes. I listen to their language.
Yeah.
Critical key words I'm paying attention to. I tried. I hope. I've never been able to do that before. Things like that. Well, haven't, then I ask the typical question, well, haven't been able to do it. I'm really just not good at that. Well, why don't you bilateral breathe? I just can't rotate to the other side. Has anybody tried to show you? I tried it a couple times. So I know what I'm getting into before I start working with athlete. So then at that point, I have to bring that athlete along a little bit different than maybe I would bring Sam along. Right? So I listen for language.
Yeah, it sounds like a really kind of like, where is that person, I'll say athlete, where are they at with their confidence? It's like,
absolutely,
and it's not being like, I think overly confident is just as, scary as not being confident enough, but I think the right amount of confidence, you could tell when someone has done their work, and it could be if someone studied the right, chapter, they know they're going to ace that test. They got that confidence, where, you bring someone in going, I hope I do well. Well, then that means you didn't study well enough.
Exactly,
so
Sam.
That sounds very, very cool.
And the reality is when an athlete's interviewing me, and that's generally how it goes, they're interviewing me to potentially hire me as their coach, whether it be for the swim and or their entire packages in the run. And they're learning about my philosophy, but I'm also learning about them. Is this athlete going to really, do they understand what they're getting into?
Sure.
An Ironman, it's an undertaking. You have a job, you have a family, because I'll ask critical questions. You married? Great. That's good. Kids? Great. You go to church on Sunday? Great. The reason why I'm asking these questions, because it's going to tell me about how much other free time they have left and what they're getting into. Because if they come to me and say, I want to break 10 hours for my first Ironman, that may very well be the case. But I also have to set them up for a reality check. So you know what you're going to need to do to get this done. So the belief was something that was important for me because I see so many examples of poor belief systems. Again, I keep going back. I'm kidding. I only say that kidding. Even you knock over a glass of water in the kitchen, and many of us will do? Oh, Don made it, you stupid. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. It's an accident. You knock it over. But I was a big at fault until I started studying this and reading people like Joe Dispenza and other in the same field of how the way the mind works. Sure. Another gentleman who I love to read his stuff is Dr. Amen. It's all about the brain. And, so with that being said, I needed to start to believe, because I needed to get athletes to start to believe in themselves, getting a stronger sense of confidence, a stronger sense of identity. I am a swimmer. Say that to me. I'm a swimmer. No, come on. Stand up. Get stupid here. There's no one around. It's just you and me out on the pool deck. Just look me in the eye and say it with the most confidence and most conviction that you can muster, I am a swimmer. I am a swimmer. The person would say, hey, now good. Now get your butt in the pool and let's go get this thing done. Once I can get them to start to believe it, blood chemistry starts to change. They actually start to feel like they have the right to be in that water. Yeah. I've heard athletes tell me they feel like they talk to any new athlete trying to join a master's program. Oh, I don't belong in there. They're all too fast for me. They're all too good for me. Got to change. Got to change that belief system, man. Get them in the water.
I like that, changing the blood chemistry.
Yeah, it certainly does.
I am a swimmer.
I am a swimmer.
The next chapter is breathing, and I do notice that you did follow a thing where it's kind of like belief. That's the most internal part of your core, and then it goes right from belief to breathing. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, we'll talk about it when it hits biomechanics mm-hmm. on the exterior, right? So, with the breathing part, what were some of the gold or the highlights or the refined pieces that you want people to know about breathing? Because I always tell people, I don't care how good of a fighter you are, once your breathing is compromised, your whole plan goes out the window. If anyone's ever lost their breath or got the wind knocked out of them, everything, the whole plan turns into survival. So being in water that we can't breathe underwater, so breathing being just a super crucial part of the swim. What would be some of those highlights of breathing that you want to talk about?
Well, I will go out on a limb and say this. In our society, Western society, modern society, I would say that a majority of us, we don't know how to breathe as it is. We don't know how to breathe. We shallow breathe. We breathe out of our intercostal muscles. We short, shallow breath. We leave so much carbon dioxide still lingering in our lungs and in our bloodstream. And once I started to learn how to breathe, it was life altering. And ironically enough, people go, "Wow, was it yoga? No, it was getting my butt kicked by a bunch of Navy SEALs out in California for a long weekend." This is the kind of stuff I like to play with. And they taught us how to breathe, how to slow down, how to become more mindful. And what I noted when I do a lot of video stroke analysis, I'll have my camera under the water, and then when I'm reviewing their video to send to them and walk them through the process, I'm going, they're holding their breath underwater. Now, the simple rule of swimming is this. You're either inhaling or exhaling. You never hold your breath. Never. Yes, I understand when you're potentially swallowing water or a rogue wave comes on you, but through the cycle, I rotate, I take a breath of air in, I turn, I exhale out, inhale. Exhale should be at least twice as long as the inhale, getting all the carbon dioxide out of the bloodstream. So I had to start with athletes there. I don't assume anything. I get them in the water. I do simple drills with them. It is listed in there called a bobbing drill. simply bob up and down. Down, I'm exhaling out, I come up. As soon as my face comes out of the water, I take a deep breath of air in. Boom, right? As we take a deep breath of air in, that's our energy. That's our energy source. When we exhale, that's the relaxation. That's what we'll get into that to the next chapter.
Sure.
That's why, because somebody challenged me going, well, kind of give it away. Shouldn't relaxation come before breathing? And I'm going, now you're getting into the chicken or the egg here.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, for one to be relaxed, one must be breathing.
Sure.
And I've
I would
learned
agree with that one for sure.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot from. I do yoga some weeks, 6-7 days a week,
Nice.
average 3 days a week. But I've learned that through the process of yoga, it is all about the breath. We center on the breath. I talk about that. You're in a compromising position in your swim. I tell all my athletes, focus on your exhale. You're getting tired, focus on your exhale. That's the relaxing portion of the cycle. Energy in, relaxation.
Okay.
Don't focus on the breathing, focus on the exhale. And it works.
And when you're in the water doing your bobbing technique,
Yeah.
I know you said 3 to 4 feet in the water,
Yeah.
and you're back against the wall.
Yeah. Well, slightly against the wall, but I want you to have the ability to free float down.
Okay.
And you're going down. And I like the athlete to park their backside on the bottom of the pool for a split second
Okay.
and then come up. And why do I want them to do that? Because it creates timing. It creates rhythm. Because many will get in the water, deep breath of air in, they go down, and they'll be bouncing up like this. And I'm getting dizzy watching them. What I'm trying to do is convince them by the 10th one, we'll go 0 to 10, 1 to 10 rather. By the 10th one, I want them so relaxed, they're just going up and down. I tell them, I want you so relaxed and so comfortable. I could literally go to Starbucks, grab a cup of coffee, come back 15 minutes later, and you're still doing this drill that relaxed. So it's teaching how to start to exercise the diaphragm, breathe more from the belly, less from the lungs, and get more expansion. I was taught years ago when we swim, especially in a wetsuit, we do not breathe out through our chest. We were taught to breathe out and expand through the sides here because they're less muscle, minimal amount of rib here, restricting the movement of the lungs. So we were taught to breathe out through this way. Is it important? You could be the best technical swimmer in the world. You could be as strong as anybody. But if you cannot maintain the integrity of your breathing from one length of the pool to the other, it's all over, right? So then what happens are fight or flight, or amygdala back here, ding, 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 goes off. I can't breathe. I'm panicking. And well-meaning people are along the wall at Ironman Arizona yelling to them, breathe, breathe. And it's kind of weird for me to say, no, you need to exhale. Breathing's not your problem.
Yes.
Learn how to exhale. I even say it in the book. There's a great philosopher once said, learn how to exhale, inhalation will take care of itself.
Yeah.
So the cycle starts with the exhale.
That's interesting. Now, can someone, this is a stupid question, but I mean, could someone really practice those techniques in their bathtub?
Certainly can.
So they don't have to go to the public pool or make, I'm just thinking actually about myself. I'm like, I do have a bathtub at home, and I was like, I could practice my breathing, because for me, that's, I am a swimmer, but I would rather say I'm an expert exhaler.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
That's your preaching to the choir there. Yes, there's techniques. I've seen people fill up a basin or a bowl of water and just put their face in the water, okay? And just blowing bubbles, getting very comfortable with the feeling of water on your face. You'd be surprised how many people who do not feel comfortable being in that prone position. Sure. It's just, I always like to say, God in His ultimate wisdom, we were never designed to swim. It is said that Michael Phelps, as efficient a swimmer as he is still only 8% efficient in the water because of drag and resistance. I talk a great deal about that. We minimize drag and resistance. We maximize our propulsion. We add the right amount of breathing in there, and we move effortlessly through the water. So it shows you how much drag and how much work one has to do in order to overcome that drag And if I am not feeding my body, which is the number one source of energy before water is oxygen. And if I'm not getting enough oxygen in, removing carbon dioxide, the best way I can explain it is like it's two freight trains going by, two boxcars. One has oxygen, one has carbon dioxide. They kind of jump off of each other's boxcar and they make a switch. So the carbon dioxide is now going away, the oxygen's going into the body. I see it too many times, athletes shortchanging the breath, holding the breath, not exhaling out nowhere near as deep as they should, and wondering why they're not getting enough oxygen in. And it will stop you, me, or anyone else dead in our tracks, right?
Sure.
I love it. Maslow in the hierarchy of need, the first thing he says, breath. Man was onto something. Because the $1 million on the top and all the other wonderful amenities of life are useless if you can't breathe. So that's why if I could change someone's belief system, then I can get them to breathe, got them right where I need them to.
So, it's funny. So, I'm sure everyone, the second you talk about swimming, you think Michael Phelps.
That's our first train of thought.
Around here too, right?
Yeah.
So, if someone like him, who's obviously an amazing, athlete, if someone like him is only at 8% of their swimming capacity, if you had him as your student, as your person that you're working with, what do you think you would have him do very quickly to make that 8% go higher?
Well, sports, they've been trying to find out since the beginning of time, right? They had it back in the Olympics. I think it was in the 80s. They had the skin suits, right?
Yeah.
They were banned. They were illegal.
Were they?
Oh, of course, because every American was breaking world records in these things. So the bottom line is, again, our bodies are only built to go through the water so efficiently because of drag and resistance, right? 1,000 times denser than air. So what Michael Phelps does better than anyone, he puts his body in a position, adds the right amount of propulsion. I mean, yes, there's more to it. I mean, his frame, his size, and all that. They've been trying to find that answer for forever, and they probably will get a little bit more of an increase. But how do we minimize drag and resistance? And that would be the ultimate goal, right? I mean, that's the ultimate goal. So, drag and resistance.
That sounds like a new invention for me, to create something that you just put on your skin like a lotion that hardens, and then you're in the water like a knife through butter.
Why do
that's illegal?
Why do you see triathletes and most swimmers shave their legs, boys and girls, right? I remember when I was a high school coach, boy, I really felt sorry for my high school swimmers because they would be walking through the locker room with the football players and everything, and they're shaved down, and these poor guys, some of them took some ridicule. But why? Anything that creates drag, hair. You have three types of drag and resistance. You have form drag, poor swimming form. You have frontal drag, water coming as a body is moving through the water. The water itself creates frontal drag, and frictional drag. Swim caps, right, over the ears, shaving their arms, getting into the most hydrodynamic position as possible, like you said, to cut through butter, right? And that's it.
Interesting.
That's it in a nutshell. So the body can move. I will tell my athletes all the time, we never ever compromise the integrity of the vessel for speed. Meaning if I got my arms thrashing and now I'm swimming more like a tugboat versus a speedboat, back up. I take a 100 horsepower engine and stick it on a tugboat, I still have a tugboat. Mm-hmm. It just has 100 horsepower. Sure. It's still going to plow through the water. Water's going to be churning up in front of it. But if I take a speedboat with the integrity of that bow and the hull and the way it rides up on the water with that 100 horsepower engine, things are going to cut through the water. It's physics, man. It's all simple physics.
So if someone came to you with this huge, flat, big block forehead, you'd be like, let's talk about drag.
let's talk about head position in the water, minimize drag, But it really boils down to that.
Wow. So it's physics for sure.
Physics for Absolutely. Sure. And that's, again, that's where I spent so much time on that element, because athletes will come to me, I want to get faster. We got to get you cleaner in the water. Well, I want to get faster. we've got to get you cleaner in the water. We go back to mobility for that. That's where I feel I lose the sexiness as a coach, because they want to get faster and I want to talk about mobility outside of the water. Right?
Yeah.
I have a quote on the back of a t-shirt. I think it's in the book somewhere too. I believe it is in the book. It's always about the swim, but not always about the water.
Yeah.
In preparation.
I think that's right in the beginning of the book.
Thank you. Okay.
That is awesome. Yeah, that one also made me think a lot, as far as it's through experience. It's amazing when, you're swimming in the water and you have that person lapping you, and you're and all you could see is their little feet and this little, but you're just, they're not the tallest in the water. They're not the shortest they're not the, but that how fast someone can actually go, and they're not even a professional swimmer.
Exactly.
Where you're like, all right, now professionals, Phelps, you would probably hear that Doppler effect as he's lapping you. So for me, that has, as someone that I thought I was a fast swimmer growing up, surfing and whatnot, to realize that I'm not even in the middle of the swim, where, that's something that I personally want to really learn from the best, and to refine my skills so that, I'm not getting swam over, which happens a lot. All right, so in chapter 3, where we went from belief to breathing to be relaxed. So what do you mean by being relaxed? Because I think we started everything with not just breathing, hatha, yoga, all that stuff. It's really all about breathing on your mat in your space. But now I'm not going to ever say breathing again. Now it's all about exhalation.
Exhalation.
That you changed my mind of breathing. No, it's all about exhalation. So now you're talking about being relaxed. So what, I guess you're building off of breathing. So
yeah, and that was, you're seeing the method to my madness when I laid these chapters out. Being relaxed. Swimming is a unique sport, though not so unique to every other sport. You are fighting to stay virtually relaxed at one time, but engaged at the other time, right? For example, we know that if I'm doing bicep curls, my tricep cannot be engaged at the same time. So when I am rotating through and I have a swimmer getting ready to pull with their left arm, I want to see their right recovery arm as loosey-goosey as possible, leading with the elbow, high elbow, and I want it relaxed. Because what we are trying to do is avoid muscles to use energy and oxygen that don't necessarily need to be energized at that point. If you stand at attention for 15 minutes and every muscle is engaged, you're going to use a lot of energy. But if you're standing long, taut, but relaxed at the same time, good chance you could stand there indefinitely.
Sure.
So it was important where I could watch a swimmer, again, after doing this for so long, I could watch a swimmer 50 yards off the beach, watch him swim and going, man, he just has to relax. You're just too tense. Mechanically, they're following through too hard, and they're just so mechanical here, and their hand is like this, and I want their hand loosey-goosey, like a good breeze would come by and blow it like like spaghetti.
Sure.
Their shoulders relaxed when they can be relaxed. One of the hardest places to pump blood to as we age, as early as our early 20s, one of the hardest places to start pumping blood to is our shoulders. So can you imagine a 30, 40, 50-year-old athlete coming to me with no swimming background? And by the way, I don't remember where I saw this number, but I believe it was like over 90% of the people who come into triathlon come with absolutely no swimming background whatsoever. And the average is in the 30s. So now a 30-some-year-old individual, male, female, they're going to try to learn how to swim like their 12-year-old son or daughter has been doing since 6 years old, and wondering why they are not getting what they do. I know I'm going off a little bit, but we have to stay relaxed. The reality is that a relaxed body is able to feel the water better. I talk about that very deliberately in there. When I'm asking an athlete to feel the water, I will back up. Years ago, when I was a young coach, a coach told me, "You can't teach feel." I made it a goal of my life to teach feel, based on what he told me.
Sure.
And I'm getting pretty good at it. Is feel the water on your forearm, feel it going through your fingers because our hands are slightly open. I talk about it, feel the water, smell the water, feel the water. There's that classic line, if you ever saw the movie Caddyshack.
Yeah.
One of my favorite top 5 movies. It just shows you how I get entertained. Caddyshack, when he says to the young man on the green that day, he says, "Danny, see the ball, be the ball.
Yeah.
Be the ball." So I tell athletes, see the water, be the water. Become with the water.
Yeah.
Feel the water, smell the water, taste the water, hear the water, feel it as you go by. If you've ever watched, and I know you have, we all have, an Olympian, they'll show the Olympians come up behind the blocks and they'll bend over and splash water on them. Do you ever notice a handful of them will put water in their mouth and spit it out? Come in one with the water.
I was always wondering why.
Come one with the
they
water.
weren't drinking it; they were just getting.
Come one with the water. Come one with the water. And if you're going to be in that environment, you need to become part of that environment. Yeah. Don't fight it. So it's the same thing with relaxed. If I'm going to get ready to go do a presentation in front of 1,000 people or 10,000 people or one person, any speech coach would tell you, you got to be relaxed up there. You know, people, that's the number 1 fear for most people, is public speaking. I mean, death is like number 5. Public speaking is number 1. Swimming is in the top, depending upon the survey you see. Generally, swimming is in the top 3 to 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of athletes will really create a lot of tension for themselves. True story, this is one of my athletes who's been with me now for months, if not over a year and a half, 16 months, 18 months, whatever. Ironman Arizona, November. She's walking out of transition. Tears just pouring down her eyes. I said to her, "What's wrong?" She goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, I'm so afraid." I said to her, "Good for you. That means you got blood flowing through your veins. Now go do everything I taught you to do and everything you've done and go get it done." She got out of the water in a 1:35. First time Ironman athlete, phenomenal swim. She had this vision, talk about belief, a few days before when we were sitting down going over race strategy. I said to her, "What do you think you're going to get out of the water your time was?" She said, "I'd be happy if I got out in 1:50. And I just said, no, you've been with me too long. You know better than that. We speculated. She came out 1:35. Solid swim. Next Ironman's in 2020. Do you now know, or do you think that her ambitions are considerably better than that? We literally started 3 weeks, 4 weeks after, starting to groom her for 2020.
Oh, very cool.
That's the mindset of growth.
Yeah.
Not instantaneous. I show my age. I dream a genie. I wish I could go like this.
Yeah.
I do that for some people. They go, what is I dream a genie? But I mean, I wish I can go like this, and all of a sudden we're where we need to be. This is now going to take hard work. She did hard work to get to 135. Now we need to apply even more hard work to get her under 120, because that is our goal. And she will do it. I have no doubt in my mind. So our belief, learn how to breathe, the body now stays relaxed. Because you are, again, at any one time, we're fighting two diverse, different, I'm looking to be tense, but relaxed at the same time. And if I can master that, that's what yoga has taught me, I'm getting better. I'm not there yet, but we are all a work in progress.
It's weird how everything in anything that you can ever put your mind on something, and you could always find some sort of a yin-yang relationship with everything. You know what I mean? Like the hard and the soft, the sharp and the dull, and this, and you know, it's
cold and hot.
Yeah, very interesting.
Rich and poor. I mean, hungry and fed. I mean, yin and yang applies to everything.
Yeah.
And when we become, and I get fairly deep in the psychology of my coaching, when I can get an athlete to stop, take off their garment, you know, their computer on their wrist, and start to train by feel and sensory adaptation,
Mm-hmm.
I got him.
Yeah, yeah.
I got him. This should only confirm what this is doing.
Yeah.
The problem with our sport now, you can see I'm getting a little hot here. The problem with our sport now is everybody guard.
Yeah.
I watch athletes doing drills and they're hitting their garment.
Yeah.
It should be this, not this.
Lose the technology, right?
Technology's, listen, I love technology. I use it. I won't, very rarely do I not run without it. But recently, over the last few months, I haven't worn a watch to swim just to go and feel. How'd that feel? That felt great.
Yeah, yeah.
There'll be a time for me to start timing everything, not middle of December.
So they have a clock at the race, right? Let them time you and show you how well you perform.
Let them time it. Absolutely. You just focus on the swim.
So number 4 is balance, buoyancy, and body position. And for me, that was, again, same thing where, you've always heard it, you have too much muscle, you're going to sink like a rock. I don't float like you float. But then when I was reading your book, that's, I used to make that same thing, like, man, maybe I have too much muscle, I'm sinking like a rock. No, it's like I just wasn't buoyant, I wasn't stabilizing my boat, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that chapter, I think that would help a lot of people, especially if you're prone to sink. So what would you, I guess, talk about with that?
And that's a great example of what I just was kind of alluding to, is getting into the water. Gary Hall Sr., let me back up for a minute. Gary Hall Sr., in my opinion, ex-Olympian. His son was an Olympian. And Gary Hall Sr. really summarized it. He said, the problem with most triathletes is they swim like surfboards with arms, meaning there's no rotation. They just kind of drudge through the water. But he goes also on to saying is where he has seen over the years the more successful swimmers are the ones who played in the water as kids. They did sharks and minnows, and they dove to the bottom of the pool for the quarter, and they did somersaults, and they were able to move in the water. Buoyancy, balance, and body position. I've read more books where they would spend multiple pages on teaching about buoyancy. I don't want to go that deep about displacement. I understand when a body presses in water, it's based on how much you weigh, it displaces this exact amount of water. What I wanted athletes to understand is that displacement is critical, especially if I don't have balance and my hips start to drop. So if all of a sudden that happens, now I'm swimming from the center of gravity versus my center of balance. And so to defend what you were saying before, well, I can't float because I'm all muscle. How do you explain Lochte? How do you explain Phelps? Go back to Mark Spitz. How do you explain Misty Hyman, Misty Franklin? How do you explain these Olympians who have body fat that is down in the low single digits? They understand the swimming from balance. Our center of gravity is just below our navel. Our heaviest muscles, glutes, hammies, quads, calf muscles. So it's not unnatural to see us swimming like a seahorse, more like this. And it's something I see in videos. Just got a video yesterday from an athlete, Kona qualifier, and I looked at it briefly, and I'll study it over the weekend. But the idea is I got to get her hips up a little bit higher. So I got to get our center of balance is at our sternum. Our center of gravity is at our navel, just below. Men, that could be grossly different in distance. Someone who's a little bit shorter, females, it's a little bit closer. So why do most girls swim like they're on top of the water? Because they are, and because they have a better feel for what their bodies are doing. Not all, but once I can make that correction for them, again, I got them right where I want them. Meaning, they're getting the results that they came to me for, and they're starting to feel, my gosh, I went from point A to point B, and I'm not even tired because I taught them how to breathe, and they're using less energy to get from point A to point B. Why? Always protect the integrity of the vessel. Don't ever, ever give up the vessel to swim fast. I say that all the time.
So I guess instead of head up, that's why I guess a lot of guys are arm swimmers, right? You see their head and they're doing this.
Crashing,
where, I guess if you kick a little bit more and balance out the boat, you can float.
Interesting you say that. A lot of athletes come to me and say, well, if I kick harder, I'm going to balance out. Absolutely. But you're swimming 2.4 miles. How are you going to hold and sustain that kick? Well, I watched a video of an Olympian kicking like that. You're not an Olympian. Plus, they are swimming anything under 500 meters is considered a sprint.
Jeez.
It's a sprint in their world. You're swimming 2.4 miles. What I do is coach most athletes, do not depend on your kick to elevate your hips. Swim from your center of balance. So we push down on the sweet spot. I call it the sweet spot here. A tennis racket. You ever hear a ball hit the tennis racket right in the center? Has this nice golf club.
Yeah.
Drive any road here and stop at a stoplight and the windows are open on a nice spring day and there's a golf course there. You don't need to look to see if that person who's driving off the tee hit the ball on the sweet spot.
Sure.
You hear it.
Yeah.
I ask my athletes to swim from the center of their sweet spot. Once I can get them to press down on their sternum this way, their hips naturally come up and they barely have to kick to sustain that. But the kick does help keep the hips up a little bit. But in our world, training for an endurance swim and a sprint event are both swimming, apples and oranges.
Sure.
The way you treat it.
Marathon versus a sprint.
Absolutely right. 5K versus a half marathon or whatever. So yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to the last chapter, biomechanics, and it's funny how your method of madness really just kind of brought it right to the biomechanical part of the body. So, and we're actually already in that topic right now. So, is there anything that you want to add with biomechanics?
Interesting. Again, you see where I go: belief, breathing, be relaxed, buoyancy, body position. Protect the integrity of the vessel. Vessel stays nice and hydrodynamic. Now and only now do I add propulsion. And where I see, and I really spell this out in that chapter there, what I see, our lives dictate a lot of what we're seeing, right? Most of us, we drive, we eat dinner, we watch TV, and we sit on these things called computers like this. So what's happened to the shoulders? Internal rotation. So now, if swimming demands a lot of external rotation and movement, we do not have the technique that we want.
Sure.
So they buy a video, they go see someone like me for technique, and I will always premise it going, we can get you there, but you need better mobility first. Yeah, I understand. We'll talk about the mobility bit. What do I need to do? What drills do I need to do? You need to do these drills, but your range of motion that your body was intended to move in is not there. So the drills are only going to help so much. We need to open this thing up, band work, some yoga. There's a piece in there. I wrote why triathletes should be doing yoga. So the biomechanics, the pull, the push, the catch, the recovery, that's the biomechanics. Notice how important that is to me. It's important, but it was the last thing I wanted to talk about. As I even said there, that's the sexy part of swimming. Everybody wants to talk about how do I grab and catch more water, but I will do a functional movement screening on an athlete and determine what their mechanical aptitude.
Sure.
See, I break it down two things. Mechanical aptitude is the body's ability to move. Technical aptitude is the ability to move in a range of motion that is going to move you through the water. Pushing down on the water versus catching the water and holding it. I kind of, early on in my coaching, I talked a lot about the traditional reach, catch, pull, push. Now I get into reach, catch, hold, drive the body. I will break it down. You and I are climbing a ladder. 2-3 feet off the ground, you're just scurrying up the ladder, right? Take that same ladder and put it up on a building, and you're now 20 feet up. That right hand is holding this rung. This left hand, I will tell you, by dear gods, I'm not letting go of this one until I'm sure that I'm in a position to do this. So this is what swimming should look like. It should be here, I finish my point back here, I come through, I finish my point back here. So the relationship between left and right left becomes very critical for me. But again, once I get back and going backwards, the integrity of the vessel is secured through the balance, buoyancy, body position. I've got them being relaxed and they're breathing. Now it's just easy to add to biomechanics. If their mechanical ability to reach, I talk about the 5 primal moves, right? To reach, pull, push, okay, lunge, and squat. And I'll take an athlete through that. And most of where I see it is up through the limitations through the thoracic, medial rotation of the ability to protract and retract the shoulder. And it's why? Because you don't do that. It's an I demonstrate. We are standing in the kitchen. We want something. We reach. We turn. We can reach a little bit more. We don't come after I grab that cake batter and go like this and then come down. We just go like this. So I see athletes all the time. I'm an old school coach. One thing I look for: how long do you keep your armpit open? They'll drive in, armpit staying open. I'm catching water. I pull back. This is what I see most of the time. In immediately driving the stroke through the elbow, closing the armpit. This is more like a piston than a paddle. And what they're doing is scooping the water here. An athlete will call me, tell me after 400 or 500 meters, my wrists are killing me. I know exactly what they're doing. I don't need to see them. They're scooping the water here. Elevating drag and resistance, minimizing propulsion. I'm assuming their vessel is still clean, but you can see the relationship and how all 5 of these are infused.
Sure.
I hit the wall, I look at my watch, I go right back to beliefs going, see, I told you I can't do this. That's why I opened that book with that quote. Okay? Right? Joe Dispenza said something that I think about often. He said, our familiar past can quickly become our new future. Our familiar past can quickly become our future. Why? If I dwell on what I used to do and what I know as the only thing that I do know, how's things going to change? Showing up at the pool, swimming 6 days a week is not going to change that until you change something in the way you think, your beliefs, and creates a even newer identity. So that was the whole sole purpose of this book, part of the class. So.
Very cool. I loved it. I appreciate you taking the time to. It's so funny. Your last name is Soul. It's all about the soul. I mean, it's very, very cool. I definitely don't think there's any coincidences, and we actually talked about that when we first met. There's no coincidences.
Right.
And I truly believe that as well. The universe is just way too precise on every level to have any mishap of coincidences. Even disasters are organized, right?
I'm with you, man.
Well, thank you very much. So what is on, on your agenda for any future books, any future races? Are you working with anyone that we can turn on the news and see? What's kind of on your agenda for the near future?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm actually on writing my second book right now. And the premise of the book is all about hard work. I'm all about finding an easier way to do things. But I think we've boiled things down where our attention level is so. I'm at fault. I'll open a video if it's more than 3 minutes going on. There's got to be a shorter one to show me how to build this rocket ship, right?
Sure.
Right? 5 easy hacks, 5 easy secrets. Let me just say this. There's no secrets in the universe. It's out there. We have to go find it.
Sure.
I understand it's a secret until we find it. But in this day and age, if you want to learn where to invest your money, the opportunities are there. If you want to learn, lose that extra 10 pounds, learn to play the guitar, learn to speak French, whatever you want to do, the opportunities are there. So this book is about hard work. And basically, I'm calling it right now at this moment, the reason why hard work is still necessary. We all want to learn how to swim in 6 easy steps, and I'm all for that. But I will tell any athlete to come with me, you got to give me 2 years. Oh my God, I have a triathlon in 6 weeks. We'll get you through that, but you want to get where you want to get, it's going to take you 2 years. So that's the project I'm working on right now. I also do a Thursday blog every Thursday. I do a Tuesday blog. If anyone was interested, they can go to my website, sign up, and that's all you get from me. I'm not barraging you with all kinds of, trying to sell you stuff. But I'm an avid writer, and that's what I do. My whole purpose in life is to coach, teach, mentor, and write. And so right now I have 12 athletes. I'm getting ready for everything for Ironman Canada to 70.3 Cambridge to Ironman Arizona. And noted athletes, I've worked with pros in the past. Any pro would want to work with me. I would love the opportunity. But you know where I just love working with that person. I don't call it the middle of the pack. I don't call them middle America. Because everybody's unique. I seem to gravitate, and that athlete seems to gravitate to me, who really sees that I'm giving them value, and I truly, really care about them, because I do. That's the only reason why I do this anymore. It's all about really wanting to see others succeed.
Sure.
And if they succeed the way I live my life, I succeed. Yeah. But they got to come first. I have to be a giver before I get. Yeah. And I've lived my life that way for quite a few years now, and that's it in a nutshell. So that's enough for right now.
No, that's excellent. So it seems like anyone that is willing to put in the work, to train smarter, to do that work first before they actually start doing hard work,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
To know what direction they're going to go before they give it an all out, right? Well, I'm very excited to promote this book, because I thought it was very well written, and it's definitely. It wasn't a goal of mine before, but it is now to actually do it, start working on my swim. It's something I've never really thought was going to be something I could be good at. But after reading this book, I want to put, the pieces to work and actually put the work in. Yeah. Now that I got the roadmap, I'm ready to hit the road. Thanks again, Frank Soul, with the 5B method to a successful triathlon swim.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.